You're still watching The Pulse on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. Now, we know that after yesterday's nomination deadline, the Electoral Commission, in just a few minutes, is about to tell us which individuals' forms have no errors, for which reason they will make it onto the presidential ballots paper for the December 7 elections. Let's now cross over to the EC headquarters. Let's now head over to the Electoral Commission. Joseph Akable is standing by for us right now. Joseph, we know we're just a few minutes away from the major announcement. Tell us what's happening right now as you speak.
Well, so Francis, I'm standing right in the IPAC conference room, and this is one conference room that is gradually becoming very popular, not just because of the decisions that are taken here, like the body that was named after, but because of the announcements that sometimes take place here. It was right at this conference room some weeks ago that the announcement came in that about 12 of the presidential candidates have had their forms rejected by the Electoral Commission. We are waiting in some few minutes' time. We understand the Electoral Commission will be announcing, then again, will be telling us those whose form have been successfully accepted by the Electoral Commission. As it stands, we are again picking signals that it's very likely that the balloting exercise for the various nominees will also be taking place today at the IPAC conference room. In fact, I saw the MPP's acting General Secretary, John Buedu. He walked into the conference room some few minutes ago and exited once again. And he tells me that the phone call he got from the commission is to come over to the IPAC conference room for the balloting exercise to take place.
All right, Joseph. So just remind us, we know it was a very busy day yesterday at the Electoral Commission. Remind us of which candidates first came to correct their mistakes on their forms and are looking patiently to see if they can make it onto the ballot paper.
Quite a number of them, Francis, and if I'm to just before I get into that, let me just brief you a bit about what transpired just about 1 p.m. today, and that had to do with the fact that Akwesi Ade Odike of the UPP, he came in to inform the commission that he has withdrawn his nomination form. You recall that he was disqualified first and foremost, not an outright disqualification. His nomination form was not accepted by the commission. The commission gave him some time to get back to the commission because of a pending suit challenging his candidature as a flag bearer of the party. He was given an opportunity. Yesterday, he came over to pick his nomination form in order to amend those mistakes. But today, he came back to the office of the commission with a letter from his counsel saying that due to some personal reasons, he's unable to contest in this year's poll. So because of that, he's withdrawing his nomination. So that is the latest development that took place just about 2 hours ago. But apart from him, in terms of the numbers that were able to present their forms yesterday, quite a number of them, I mean more than 10 of them. In fact, I can talk about the DPPs, Thomas Nyako Ward Bill, he brought their form. You know that of Dr. Pakwesindum of the Progressive Post Party. Madam Ekwadonko of the GFP also did same. We can also talk about the IPP, Kofi Akpalu, that was also presented. We can also talk about the NDP, Nana Konido Ajiman Rawlings' party was also presented. We can talk about the PNC led by Dr. Edward Mahama. In fact, Dr. Edward Mahama himself was here in person. He came and presented the form. We all recall how the Progressive Post Party came in. Initially, they corrected one mistake. They were asked to correct some more mistakes. So that is also a very important one that took place just yesterday. So all in all, Francis, quite a number of them presented their forms back to the commission. And we understand now that they've been contacted to come over to the IPAC conference room. So they are all heading here, not just for the news, but for the balloting exercise as well, Francis.
Okay, talk of those who are coming around to wait for what's going to happen. Have you seen any of the representatives or even the candidates themselves walk in to take their seats?
Well, as it stands, we also have the running mate of the PNC, that is for the GCPP, I must say, John Ameka. We are talking about a party led by Dr. Henry Latte of the Great Consolidated People's Party, and he's just seated on my left. I also mentioned earlier that I also saw John Buedu he's the acting General Secretary actually of the New Patriotic Party. He also came in some few minutes ago. So those are the ones I've been able to spot so far. I must have to take a look around and see whether there are some others who have come in yet. You just saw the MPP's campaign manager for the 2016 election, Peter McMenu. You can see him in your shot now. He is seated and waiting patiently. It appears clearly theirs is not to receive the news of whether their form has been accepted, because we know for a fact that their form has already been accepted. I just also spotted Lady Tamara, like we popularly refer to her, as she is the running mate of Kwame Esiedu Walker. He's an independent presidential candidate. His form was rejected by the Electoral Commission. Subsequently, when that judgment came from the Supreme Court, he took advantage of that opportunity, presented a form. He picked it actually to amend the mistakes on it and presented a form yesterday. And now her running mate is present here to not just listen to the news, but if they get a clearance that indeed their form has been accepted, it becomes an opportunity for them to also take part in the balloting exercise that we understand will be taking place in some few minutes' time, right after that announcement of those whose form has been successfully accepted by the Electoral Commission is done as well.
All right, so if you're just joining us, we're waiting for the announcement to be done for the candidates who went to present their nomination forms, hopefully with their corrections done. We know the Electoral Commission in just a few minutes will make the announcement of which individuals have been able to successfully go through that process and by extension will be given the opportunity to contest in this year's presidential elections. We also know that today, per what we are receiving from the EC headquarters, the balloting will be done today. So we'll know who will be number one on the ballot paper for presidential elections and also who will be at the very bottom, so that the marketing strategies of the political parties can begin in earnest. We'll go for a short break now. When we come back, we'll still keep an eye on the Electoral Commission and see what developments are happening, bring you updates on the balloting and the announcement also for who even makes it onto the ballot paper. Stay with us. Comprehensive coverage of election 2016 here on Election Headquarters on TV, radio, online and mobile. You're still live on the Pulse on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. As we mentioned at the top of the hour, the Electoral Commission Chair, Madam Charlotte, said the returning officer for the presidential elections will shortly address the media and also tell us for the 8 disqualified aspirants who were given a second chance to correct mistakes on your nomination forms, we won't know whether they were able to complete that process and whether or not they, by extension, make it onto the ballot paper for this year's presidential elections. We also know that the balloting process will not happen tomorrow. In fact, we're learning that that is taking place today, which means that for all the political parties, especially for the presidential elections, we will know their positioning on the ballot paper today. That will be done at the Electoral Commission headquarters. Let's now speak to Joseph Akable. He is our man at the EC headquarters at the IPAC conference room, monitoring developments for us as we speak. Joseph, thanks for being with us. And I know that it has been a very busy day from yesterday up until this minute, but we're keeping a close eye on developments. Walk us through the motions now. What is happening at the EC headquarters as we speak?
So lots of movements, Francis. People are coming in, but certainly the ones we are looking out for has to do with the various political parties. It appears a good number of them have obviously received a communication from the Electoral Commission to the effect that the exercise in terms of the balloting will be done immediately after the announcement. And it's a long wait for them. As you can see right on my left-hand side, some of them are seated. They are all waiting patiently for the Electoral Commission chair. It's been a long wait wait for them, I mean, you can understand how anxious they can be because it all has to do with the fact that for some of them, they presented their nomination form. The form was subsequently rejected by the Electoral Commission. Then came that judgment from the Supreme Court. So you can see in your shot now, Lady Tamara is seated. She's the running mate to Kwame Isiedu Walker there. She's seated. Mr. Peter McMahon just moving right behind her. Mr. Peter McMahon is the campaign manager that is for the NPP in this year's polls. Those are the two notable persons I've identified so far, apart from the acting general secretary of the NPP, John Boedu, who I saw some few minutes ago, and he exited the IPAC conference room. So, Francis, you can try a bit, I mean, in terms of understanding what may be running through their mind, I can't help but wonder, because if you have been asked to come over, you can understand that obviously all of them will definitely be making an appearance here, but we'll have an opportunity again for we that we are interested in the news. Will be an opportunity to get immediate reaction from them, especially for those who may not be fortunate enough to have their form accepted by the Electoral Commission. We'll have an opportunity to get a quick response from them as to what their next line of action will be for them. So that will also be an interesting one to look forward to. But as it stands, all eyes are on the seat just right behind me. The main seat right behind me, that is where the Electoral Commission chair, who doubles as the returning officer for this year's polls, that is where he's seated, and she sits as well. So eventually we'll be expecting that she comes in, takes her seat, and tell us exactly what's happening.
Okay, now Joseph, one more thing. We know that yesterday, even after 5 p.m., when the nomination deadline legally, as we know, had elapsed, most of the candidates still made it after that time to present their forms. Tell us what happened beyond 5 p.m. and also, per what you've picked up on the ground, what the Electoral Commission has been up to since morning today in the build-up to the announcement.
For when the deadline elapsed, when it was actually 5 p.m. whilst we stationed there, some few minutes afterwards, I didn't personally see any of the disqualified nominees come over to present the form. But what we know for a fact is that the commission, in terms of its officers who vet the various forms, were seated all through the night. We understand that they were late, as up until even 9 p.m. they were still around going through the forms, all in an effort to ensure that they're able to get a clear understanding of whose form they will be accepting and whose form they will be rejecting as well. So it was a busy day for them. For a good number of those who I monitored personally yesterday, we can say on authority that they presented it before the 5 p.m. deadline. But then again, the signal we get is that indeed it appears some of them came beyond it, and that was what made it very difficult for the commission. That was what has delayed so far, and it's now beyond 4 p.m. and we are still waiting for that announcement, Francis.
Okay, now just some information we also picked up. We know that as of this morning, the sorting out for these forms has still been ongoing. We know that the officials have been thoroughly sifting through every document, one after the other. The 4 quadruplicates for each candidate has been thoroughly assessed, and we know that an announcement is expected in just a few minutes. But Joseph, for the candidates, the PNC and the PPP, are they also duly represented as we speak at the EC headquarters right now?
As it stands, when I take a look at the conference, so I'm here to spot any of their officials show up yet. I mean, but we trust they will definitely be making an appearance here. You can understand with the interaction I had with the acting general secretary of the NPP, it appears the call just came in somewhere this afternoon, so you can understand why some of them are yet to make an appearance. Depends on where you are exactly and how quick you can move over and get here to the IPAC conference room, where the big news will definitely be delivered. But obviously, they will be making an appearance here, and it's because they are not just interested in the news that will be coming in. I mean, for those who are fortunate to have been given a clearance again, so we know for a fact that for the Convention People's Party, they will definitely be on the ballot because they were cleared on 10th October when the Electoral Commission came out with that announcement. We also know of Jacob Osei-Yeboah, is an independent presidential candidate. We can also talk about the National Democratic Congress, whose candidate is the incumbent president as well, John Dramani Mahama. He will definitely be on the ballot as well. And the last being Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo of the New Patriotic Party. So those 4 are waiting who will be joining them, and that is what we are all waiting for. A very big one indeed, Francis, to find out exactly whether the numbers will be increasing from 4 to 8 or 9, or maybe it remains at 4, will still be one that we still have to wait patiently. So as it stands, in terms of some more of them to join us here at the IPA conference room.
Okay, Joseph, hold on for just a moment. We can just quickly get an update also on developments, not only about the Ghanaian election, but the American election as well.